May 24th, 1941. The North Atlantic. The British battlecruiser HMS Hood, the pride of the Royal Navy, the most famous warship on Earth, has just been blown in half. In less than 6 minutes, 1,415 men are dead. Only 3 survive. The killer is a ghost, a 50,000-ton Nazi monster called the Bismarck. It is faster than any British battleship. Its armor is 13 inches thick. Its guns can kill from 20 miles away. And now, having destroyed Britain's greatest symbol of power, it is loose in the Atlantic. Its mission is simple: find the supply convoys that are keeping Britain alive, and sink them all. If the Bismarck isn't stopped, Britain starves. The war ends. Subscribe for more untold World War II stories. But then, the unthinkable happens. In the fog and the rain, the Bismarck vanishes. For 31 terrifying hours, the most dangerous object on the planet is missing in 3 million square miles of ocean. This is the story of the greatest hunt in naval history, and how a weapon designed to rule the world lasted only 8 days. The Bismarck wasn't just a ship, it was Hitler's obsession. He wanted a weapon that would make the Royal Navy obsolete. The result was a floating fortress. It had its own bakery, a hospital, even a movie theater. The crew of 2,200 men believed they were invincible, but Captain Ernst Lindemann knew the truth. The Bismarck had a fatal flaw: it was alone. Germany didn't have a fleet. Britain had dozens of battleships. If the Bismarck was ever cornered, it would die. On May 18th, the beast left port. British spies spotted it immediately. The message sent to Winston Churchill was 3 words long and terrified everyone who read it. Bismarck is out. Churchill ordered every available ship to sea. Sink the Bismarck wasn't just an order, it was a desperate plea. The first battle, the destruction of the Hood, was a shock to the system. The British thought their ships were equal. They weren't. The Bismarck's gunnery was supernatural. It took only 3 salvos to find the range and detonate the Hood's ammunition magazine. But in that victory lay the seed of defeat. A single British shell had struck the Bismarck's fuel tank. The uncatchable monster was bleeding oil. The Bismarck needed to get to France for repairs. But first, it had to shake its pursuers. Captain Lindemann pulled a brilliant maneuver, turning into the British radar blind spot and disappearing into a squall. Suddenly, the British radar screens went blank. The ocean was empty. Panic spread through the Admiralty in London. Was the Bismarck heading back to Norway? Was it already among the convoys, slaughtering merchant ships? Every hour it remained hidden was a catastrophe. The breakthrough didn't come from a brilliant admiral. It came from a mistake. The German admiral, Lütjens, believing he was still being tracked, sent a 30-minute radio message to Berlin. He didn't know the British had lost him. He effectively put up a giant neon sign saying, "Here I am!" British listening posts triangulated the signal. They had him. He was heading for the safety of the French coast, and he was almost there. The British realized with horror that their battleships were too far away. They couldn't catch him. The only ship close enough was the aircraft carrier Ark Royal. But the Ark Royal didn't have modern bombers. It had the Swordfish, an obsolete, canvas-covered biplane that looked like it belonged in World War I. They flew at 90 miles per hour. The pilots flew in open cockpits, freezing in the Atlantic wind. This was the final, desperate gamble. On May 26th, 15 of these ancient planes took off into a gale. They were flying against the most advanced anti-aircraft defenses in the world. But a strange thing happened. The Bismarck's guns were designed to track fast, modern fighters. They couldn't aim slow enough to hit the Swordfish. The biplanes flew right through the wall of fire. 14 torpedoes missed or bounced off the armor. The last one didn't. It struck the stern. It jammed the massive twin rudders 12 degrees to port. The 50,000-ton giant, capable of 30 knots, was suddenly helpless. It could only steam in a giant circle. It was steering itself straight back toward the British fleet. Captain Lindemann knew it was over. He sent a final message to his crew. "We will fight to the last shell. Long live the Führer." The next morning, the British battleships Rodney and King George V arrived. This wasn't a battle, it was an execution. They closed to point-blank range. They didn't just want to sink the ship, they wanted to destroy it. For hours, they poured thousands of shells into the Bismarck. The superstructure was turned into twisted scrap. The guns were silenced. The ship was a burning inferno, a floating slaughterhouse. But it wouldn't sink. The German engineers had built it too well. The armor held the hull together even as the ship was destroyed. Finally, the German crew opened the sea valves to scuttle the ship. At 10:39 a.m. on May 27th, the Bismarck rolled over and slipped beneath the waves. It had lasted exactly 8 days. Of the 2,200 men who sailed on the invincible ship, only 114 were pulled from the oil-slicked water. The Bismarck remains a legend of engineering and terror. It proved that a single ship could frighten an empire. But it also proved a harder truth. In war, there is no such thing as an invincible weapon. Even the mightiest fortress is vulnerable if it is alone. The Bismarck was the perfect battleship, but it was fighting the wrong war. And its only legacy is a wreck, 3 miles down, and the memory of 8 days when it ruled the world.